Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting and everything and amazing Propagandacast. I'm your host, Imperial Dane, the one and only Master Propaganda Heroes like Defender of the Fatherland. Off here to a 1v1 on the new map, Tuscan Vineyards, which is just a CoH3 map they remade for CoH3. But in the south, it is Manitou here with Freedom, Democracy, and Liberty with US 1st Armored Division. Tasked with breaching the German line here, formed up by Xizi and the 44th Reichsgrenadierdivision Hoch und Deutschmeister here with Breakthrough, aka
Scouts have deployed into the field.
Double Scouts, Double Engineers here versus Double Pioneers and Grenadiers. As always, a big hearty and a welcome thanks to my patron supporters for continued generous and heroic support of the Propagandacast. Helps make all these videos possible, and a big thanks, keep commenting and liking on them. It really also helps out there with the YouTube algorithms. And finally, a big thanks to Andrew for his donation, contributing to the war effort of the Propagandacast.
Engineers on the field.
So we are off here. Breakthrough with MP40 upgrades. Will we see them used? Statistically speaking, very unlikely, but you never know. There's always that one player who's going to, boldly go where others typically don't go for good reason. So Scouty base in the west. It seems like we're seeing more of these engineer builds, I feel like, all of a sudden, out of the Americans. Another Grenadier squad here out of Xizi.
Deploying engineers now.
Pushing up here towards the center, quickly laying down some sandbags to help fortify the point and make it harder for the Americans just to attack it. So, better quiet here otherwise for the time being. Pushing across the breadth of the map here. Medical station for Manitou here very early on. Really seems like it didn't build, they just
Engineers on
caught
the field.
on there. Here's the Grenadiers.
Orders have been carried out.
Sweeping in with the engineers. He's quickly moving up as well here. They're going to use some pretty heavy damage there. Go falls back. Engineers quickly for withdrawing, but as well. West side scouts pushing forwards. These important though. We've yet to see a battle, but it could be something else besides backups. He had a Manitou, maybe it's armored, maybe it's heavy weapons. We don't know. But he's got a 4th engineer squad on the way there, and an MD42 for Xizi and Das Vaterland, bringing most needed heavy firepower to support the Grenadiers. And there you go. He's closing in, going in hard here, closing the distance here. The Grenadiers will have to withdraw here. I think pretty soon they won't be able to do enough damage to them. He's like really thin out the numbers before they get up close and all democratic. MD42 there's almost done here. Pioneers doing what they can here to slow down the tidal wave of American engineers then with the M3 breeze guns. Continuing their pursuit here. MD42 teams Grenadiers trying to flank up. No, they're just ignoring, going for the collar point instead. Grenadiers could try and make a run for the building, but they need to consider up the blind. So instead, yeah, so machine here bringing the engineers into it. I think it's the best move here for Xizi, and he looks like he's going to make it. British sports center for Manitou. Hunter coming here for Xizi, and then engineers caught here in the petunias by an MD42, which is definitely don't way won't be caught by it. Though not really in the roses either. It's generally bad news, but caught in flowers and general banning too. See if you get caught by an aunt. Just landing the MD42. What are you doing in my blight, petunias? Eat leg, you shithead! Anyways, obviously that's my aunt saying that, you know. Very, very sharp-tongued lady. Definitely don't want to step into her petunias. Rest assured. Panzer going to come here for Xizi. Got the news ring for the center, laying down some sandbags.
Scouts loaded and ready. The ISC's been upgraded.
Might see women supporting there for Manitou then? Maybe not. And there you go, breakthrough activated. Breakthrough ability and the breakthrough battle group. We'll be seeing any Panzer Grenadiers that get a sort of roundabout buff, but like so many buffs they apply to the Germans, sort of like, well, if you sort of hit like the right level of veterans, your units will perform a bit better. You know, very conditional buffs. Could also, of course, try to go for a half check here. Excellent position, though. I think with the way things are going, a Panzer Grenadier squad wouldn't be half bad against all the engineers. Just a quick aside there. Grenadiers against the engineers with the flamethrower moving in, and then with Freedom, Lewis there goes down. First M3 uptake for Manitou. We do get Panzer Grenadiers, but these definitely need a pack quality as well, because the Panzer Grenadiers continue to not have any anti-tank weapons. Up north, these scouts base with the northern fuel point. Halfway down here. East side Pioneers are busy. Medical station for CC as well. That will delay a pack 40. And obviously against the Americans, you should almost always universally expect some kind of light vehicle in a certain amount of time, unless you've been doing a really great job messing with the fueling car. Which, I mean, if you're really good at that, that can definitely buy you some time. I'm seeing on this map, but unfortunately for Xizi, that is not exactly the current set of events. But there you go. Panzerguns moving forward for their Sturmgewehre 44. Though Panzerguns equipped like this were pretty late in the war. We're talking late 1944 in terms of organization. The earliest formations actually equipped like heavily the assault rifles were actually the escort troops, a Begleittruppen of the Stug brigades. Fun fact there. Really just highlighting, just in a sense, how important the Stugs were to the German warfare. That the very first thing sort of went like, okay, men out, we need to figure out where some of these assault rifles will go to first. And then they just sort of, you know, almost basically just agreed, the Stugs. We need to get the assault rifles to the Stugs.
No contact.
So, officer's quarters there for Xizi. Since the Panzer's veterans one ability did actually buff. Factions, meanwhile, kind of got the same. They got like 2 levels of veterans buff, but where the Panzer got veterans 1 and 3 improved, the Fallschirmjägers got actually 2 and veterans 3 buffed. There you go, Sturmgewehre, leading the way. That's not to say, of course, you wouldn't have like other units equivalently equipped with assault rifles around the same time, but that was more like, you know, unit-to-unit basis, like, you know, like they form up an assault group and then just, well, you guys get the assault rifles. Like, for example, there's a photo, I think, from Tarantan. Finding there, we actually had like a German squad equipped with assault rifles there from the 91st Luftlandedivision Division. So, we typically would have, like, you know, also more veteran infantry squads. Probably the Fusiliers or Infantry Division, for example, that would be equipped with them as well. So, little, again, further bit there on assault rifles and, you know, how they were handed out. And there you go. Gun engine have to be providing until support here. Definitely putting pressure on Xizi and the 44th Reichsgrenadier Division Hoch und Deutschmeister. Gonna need a pack 40 for the second half to run there for Manitou. Panzer closing in there with their Sturmgewehre.
Abstract deploying, as ordered.
Closing in there on the English, quickly forcing them back.
Cover his position. Enemy movement near a victory
Now that Panzer going to squad, no packs here, isn't it to choose? Obviously, the anti-tank half-track don't provide as much direct pressure on the infantry, so you could argue he isn't as badly in need of an anti-tank weapon here. This is sort of a bit the interesting choice here out of Manitou, the way he's committed to it. Like, you could have gone for the weapon price or just switch up, but it kind of like, you know, there's still a problem with the barrages, but they're not like a persistent pressure element here that Xizi has to worry about. Like, as long as you just dodge the barrages reasonably, it's not like, you know, the end of the world for him in a sense. But obviously still, you know, pain in the posterior. So, obviously strong versus, you know, a lot of things here, but at the same time, as mentioned, they don't necessarily force Xizi to have to, like, respond to them very aggressively with anti-tank weapons. Now take to push in more infantry, and now we hit back at Manitou. So, it's an interesting read in the situation, and Manitou might have to go a bit too hard on relying on the meta game to, like, you know, say, guide his decision-making. Which then I think Xizi has correctly read, okay, my opponent is playing very much, you know, according to the meta game, which is going to go for 2 anti-tank half-tracks. Of course, they are broadly good, but again, they're not something that's going to, like, really, like, you know, give an infantry heavy build, like, you know, an absolute headache. So, it's not a bad move. There we go. Button grenade, the Gebaldeladung. Right into the 30 cal there, which of course, by the magic of the democratic force field, trucks off most of it. As the bound grenade, however, really did not get buffed. Map control swinging back and forth here so far between Xizi and Manitou in the fields. Punching in forwards here. We need to get the grenadiers up to merge with them quickly. Definitely should have been better at keeping pace. He might actually resolution, but there you go. Close call here for Xizi, allows his pen to maintain the pressure. Second squad running in. Second 30 cal for Manitou. Still no battle for him either, as it seems flabbergasted the Germans actually going for Panzer Grenadiers. Because most found places haven't bothered, but I guess the successive amount of buffs to them might have caused some players to go, you know, they might actually be okay now with several layers of buffs. And they might actually be half decent now.
Commander, we've lost a sector.
So I wouldn't necessarily be as hard against recommending going for them now than before. Plus, the new War-Torn skins on them look really good, and they get mod variations. And, like, you know, anything with mod variations pretty much get mine, like, you know, stamp of approval.
Advanced logistics will reduce
For
the
whatever it's
cost of
worth.
reinforcing our forces.
What's the Xizi? Oh god, that's Dane. He's got some weird taste, you know.
Engineers here.
Up north, the pioneers going for the scouts. But so far, Xizi there with the heavy infantry is pressuring Manitou. As the engineers do struggle a bit more with the heavy panzer, but he's going for a third one there. Good lord, he truly believes in the Panzergrenadier, in the Sturmgewehr. Obviously, in this case, representing, you know, Fusiliers of the Reichsgrenadier. Shown for those wondering what the devil is a Fusilier. The Fusilier was sort of like a thing that happened with the German infantry divisions after North Africa and Stalingrad. Basically, all the divisions lost, except for the ones in Normandy, which basically means like anesthetic divisions. But otherwise, they all lost like a battalion each of their infantry regiments, and they lost a scout battalion. And to then compensate, they got the Fusilier battalion instead, which sort of like, you know, acts partly sort of as an elite battalion, and partly just as reconnaissance. So they were typically better equipped than the average infantry in the division, and typically also just made up of, like, you know, veterans and other just higher quality chaps. They tend to get overlooked in a lot of RTS games, tragically.
A weapon has been
But
accrued.
they were a thing very much.
Enemy contact! Task complete!
Ooh, close call here, and the smoke there from the scouts saves the machine gun there from falling into the hand of the German Panzergrenadiers. We've got total
Enemy
free squads here.
activity near our munitions
So,
point.
that is quite interesting to see there out of Xizi. And of course, not to be confused with the Panzerfusilier, which was basically sort of an honorific title for Panzergrenadiers. Initially of the Groß Deutschland, but sort of having to more units, sort of meant to be sort of like a nicer title somehow than Panzergrenadier. Fun fact there. There you go, Panzerman 14 again. Here we see Manitou sort of a bit stuck in that, like, you know, trap where he just went double anti-tank half tracks, and his opponent just hits him with Panzergrenadiers. Again, they come about, they come to catch them, but if you keep moving, which units for the assault rifles are at least half decent at, fun fact there, the anti-tank half tracks are just sort of,
They've cut us off.
not doing too much. We do get a pack 40 of the Xizi. Could of course try and go for Stooks, but maybe he doesn't want to do that. Move in the retreat path. Could try and move the engineers pencil up here as well to assist. They lose the Sturmgewehr. There go, Gebaldeladung on the captain's retreats. Field officer not just under duress, but under direct fire, and gets wiped out.
Killed in action.
Bit of a harsh for hits Manitou. Quick replacement with another captain plus another 30 cal.
Requisitioned.
Panzer company for Xizi. So definitely no Stooks here. But also Manitu's definitely struggling more and more with the map control again. The double anti-tank half-tank build just isn't quite working out for him. I mean, he could still like go for heavy weapons, he could convert them to M16s and be able to convert them down to anti-tank half-tanks down the road. And honestly, that would be a really strong move, but so far Manitou seems really reluctant to do so. And I do think this is a massive strategic error when he's got like an honestly kind of busted ability like that to just be able to convert one upgraded half-track into another type of half-track entirely. That is an immense amount of flexibility to have in the hands like any plane. Manitou is just like,
The captain has been assigned.
you know what? I think that's communist, boys. I think we need to stay away from that. I don't want to be a communist.
Orders incoming. Target captured.
So, we'll have to see what he goes for, but honestly, for him, if he were to like switch to M16s right now, I think he would be in a strong position. In fact, he would have gone for it sooner, he would be in a much stronger position. So, it is one of those a bit, you know, head-scratching moments there out of Manitou. But you do have to wonder what exactly he's worried about here. Like, what sort of traumatic event happened to him that's causing him to never do that.
God damn it! What now? Crowd fire! Guard that line. Sir, yes, sir.
Got a Calvin getting on with Panzer with the Sturmgewehr.
Defend our victory point. We're losing it. Enemy infantry.
Panzers definitely do seem overall better. So again, you are definitely required now to go for the officer squads to get them there fast, but you know, it's only something worth keeping in mind. I would also recommend the water once again for them though. You have to like, you can't buy it in bits and pieces. You have to like put aside like, you know, the 30,000 carrots to get them, you know, without having to like, you know, fork up your wallet.
We're losing the strategic
I did
point.
that though. What was worth it though? Wouldn't quite say the same for the vehicle side of it.
Territory
That
isolated.
one's definitely a bit of a drop ball.
Man down.
But, you know, can't win them all. Meanwhile, Manitou with the 4th 30 cal. And of course, they did nothing about the 30 cals. That said, mortars might work as a better counter for them now that they improved the timing on the shells, like they fly faster. It definitely makes them a bit better at dealing with it. Also do tanks, and he might just go for a Sturmpanzer here. We'll have to see, of course, what Manitou ends up, or Xizi ends up with versus Manitou. Manitou was still not picking a battle group. At this point, it does feel like it's going to be heavy weapons here, or maybe armored. But yeah, like, I will say if he does end with heavy weapons, I will also say it's definitely, yeah.
50 cal heavy machine guns requisitioned to frontline forces.
I was going for the other side first. I mean, that's not terrible. I mean, now he's got his 30 cals all bolstered, anchor up to the 50 cals. I mean, not bad. Plus, again, auto sprint. But at the same time, I will still say, if he just be able to like rush out the builds, like switch from M16s and anti-tank hoppers there, I think that would have been very good for Manitou and a massive problem for Xizi. He has gone here for the Sturmpanzer though. Also colloquially known as the Bomber, though that was an allied thing. The Germans called it the Stupa. Quick note there. Victory point-wise, the Manitou has been able to up against the Xizi. Casualty-wise, though, the rising number of Panzer Grenadiers combined with his refusal to do anything about those half-tanks has allowed those Xizi to really gain the lead over his opponent. Casualty-wise. In particular, since Xizi has been, like, you know, fairly mobile, making it harder here for Manitou to just rely on machine guns to do all of his work here. Of course, the arrival of the Sturmpanzer 4 may further complicate that mess. We got a Pack 40 in the way there. Blitzkrieg selected. Alongside a rapid production.
We got the tools.
Sturmpanzer moving about, Panzerbears moving in. North here we got machine team just sort of staring as the flag goes up very slowly. Shouldn't we be watching for enemies? Shh, quiet, Jürgen. It's a flag. It's disrespectful. What? Shh.
Assault half-tracks will lead our boys to the front.
Got the assault half-tracks there.
Cover his position.
As I said, he's been good work, he's pushing up the flanks. There's a thumbs up to Manitou on that one.
Our enemy has turned the tide.
Oh dear, suddenly Xizi's now got lead over Manitou in terms of victory points. Not a big lead, obviously, but it is a lead. He's also managed to upgrade all of his 30 cals to 50 cals now. Definitely bad news for Xizi's infantry. As for the armor, not so much of a problem. And we get both anti-tank half-tanks failing to penetrate the 100mm thick slug front armor of the Sturmpanzer 4. So, imagine Manitou. I mean, he could go for either the 3-inch gun, he could go for the Persian. We'll have to see that. I mean, certainly his strategy's having some interesting choices there. So, 3-inch gun, definitely is a possibility. There you go. Pantophos and anti-tank half-tank. Engine on fire. Crew panicking. Gun firing. Slamming off the Sturmpanzer front armor. Second shot from the other half-tank also failed to penetrate. Crews are in a complete disarray. Captain retreating. Pretending it wasn't him that gave out the orders. 50 cal also has to vacate the premises. Fortunately for Manitou, Xizi does not pursue the anti-tank half-tank air pack 40. Tried to move instead to caught by 50 cal, the crew getting wrecked with heavy fire. Engineers diving ahead here. Bit of a messed up pursuit, I think, here by the 44th. Missed an opportunity, I think, to deliver a heavier blow to Manitou. Outside here, Pioneers and Grenadiers trying to poke about and instead met with another 50 cal here out of Manitou. The Xizi, he could consider a mortar to provide artillery support for his infantry versus Manitou. I do think that wouldn't be like a half-bad move. Personally. 50 cal getting blasted. Of course, courtesy of American force field technology, it is surviving several hits from a shell designed to blow up entire buildings. Like, that was the purpose of the Sturmpanzers, designed to like blow up buildings and bunkers. Very much a result to the response to the fighting in Stalingrad. So to see someone just survive 2 hits from that just feels a bit, you know. Yeah. Tank there with a Manitou. My God, Jürgen, what does it feed us Americans? Asbestos? That can't be good for them. No, but nice can't firing a 150mm shell at some either. Somehow they survived.
Hot shots at us! Enemy tank! We need support!
Hunter, they're being pinned down. Setting up the east side with the Panzer Grenadiers, their ace level. Entering out again, finding itself staring in horror as the shell just bounces off the Sturmpanzer's frontal armor. I imagine the Sturmpanzer crew very quite happy with that result. Pack crew there decimated by American forces. Scouts sneaking right past the German left flank here, going for the weak points here. Not a bad move there by Manitou. Another machine gun here on the way for Manitou. I guess, I mean, I'm not entirely sure this is what's currently going on. I would consider like another machine gun right here and now, like maybe bazooka team. Even a cache like just help him get up more fuel faster for the tanks, because Xizi's been doing an excellent job just messing with Manitou's fuel income. Like, that's really been nice. I think also just one of those Xizi's, like, you know, longer term, you know, strategic victories in this match. It's just the way he's been so effective, able to, like, dismantle Manitou's fuel economy, ensuring they just can't, like, easily get out, like, response to the Sturmpanzer while he's racing ahead for one, and might even now be, you know, planning to go for a Tiger tank. So we'll have to see what, of course, happens here, but so far, Manitou, I think, needs to, like, you know, adapt a bit more to the realities of the battlefield, rather than relying what feels like to a certain extent, like, you know, he's got, like, this strategy, like, this perfect meta-game plan, but as soon as, like, you know, makes contact with a plan that isn't what he's expecting, he just doesn't, like, you know, adapt, doesn't respond to what's going on, he just keeps at it. Well, of course, the Americans, that can to some extent work if his opponent actually figures out what's going on and counters it. As you might notice, problems start to arise. So, at this point, I think we've gone for a 3-inch gun, but the fact he isn't definitely has me thinking he is planning for a Persian. But the fuel income as is, yeah, like, he really needs that fuel, like, really badly.
We've lost a scout squad.
Scout team there, cut down by the German Panzergrenadiers with 2 squads at base level. It's definitely where they start hitting pretty hard, I believe, there. The veteran thief bonus has been improved. 40% weapon accuracy.
We've lost control of a sector. Get ready to kick some ass, boys.
Scout team there for Manitou, and you need to take a massive hit through Sturmpanzer. I'm just trying to do the same thing, they're not there. Left gun holding up things to east side. She's running coming, but they're not coming the fuel pun again. Manitou's strategy there. Like, at this point, he might even consider some bazooka teams or something. Just needs, like, you know, shift gears a bit here versus his opponent.
Sector gone. We must take it back.
We'll have to see what he does.
Movement near a victory point.
Forward here, but the 5th Guard, the Panzer definitely being hit hard here by the machine gun crew.
200 points remaining on the front line.
Going for the isolated units here, then units to the captain. Could try and rush in the interesting half-tech to, like, maybe flank it, or to keep pushing up into with the pack forward and the Panzergrenadiers. Yeah, just the half-techs bring in, he might have the target weak point ability that's activated, or landing shot, whatever you want to call it now. So he could maybe give the Sturmpanzer a little bit of trouble. And there we go, Salama exposed here.
Territory isolated.
Got a shot through the front armor there, and absolute nightmare there for the Sturmpanzer crew.
We must act.
Sure, they're utter shock at it. The Americans penetrated the frontal armor. What's going on? This clearly must be sabotage. Who consort using slave labor was a problem. Get us out of here. Bombing the machine gun. Direct hit on the machine guns.
Enemy in control of all
So yeah,
victory
right now
points.
Xizi still got good man control, but now Manitou feels like he's definitely got something going, and he's trying to definitely push ahead, which he absolutely should. Definitely there thinks he's also creating some openings there for Manitou to exploit, but at the same time, like, he's flooding so much manpower, he really needs to, like, you know, ramp up the fuel production. He really wants to go for the Persian, which all signs point to meanwhile Xizi's just breezing towards a Tiger tank. You know, he's clearly not too worried. It could easily built like multiple fuel caches, but that was one of the fuel points he had. But
Research underway.
machine gun nest here to try and defend against a head-on push down the main road here, and there you go. T got it for Xizi, 508th Schwerpanzerabteilung, providing one of his heavy Tiger tanks to assist the 44th Reichsgrenadierdivision. 141 312. News flanking 50 cal news on the Panzer Grenadiers. West side here we got Spanish 14 50 cal here. Routing the Panzer Grenadiers.
Research.
137 312.
Research completed, Commander.
He's pegging forwards, moving up the centre.
Let's tackle the job.
Apparently the 50 cal also benefits from the auto-spin ability. Now we can go nowhere faster. Gee, Sarge, you're so smart. Yes, I am. Actually, getting 2 shots there on it. Scout team again knocked out here by those naughty Germans. Manitou floating 200 manpower again. Fuel caches, man. Or get out some pursuit teams while you stall up for it. Just don't float that much manpower, Manitou. Again, it feels like it's one of those things again that really just highlights. It feels like he's just operating, almost entirely by like some kind of distinct strategy. He seems like there is some sort of like reaction now. He's going for the motor pool. Finally, and might thus likely turn to into tank and cruisers. Obviously, he will benefit from all these bonuses as well there. Honestly, if anything, I'm a bit surprised this didn't happen sooner by Manitou. Again, really feels like he's just relying heavily on a preset strategy, and he's having a hard time, adapting to what's going on there. And of course, like I'm telling you, even the best player sometimes can get a bit too set, in their ways, but it is worth noting when, push comes to shove,
We've lost the weapon crew.
it's better to try to adapt what's going on than, outsmart your opponent somewhere and just react a bit more efficiently.
Near a victory point.
So, yeah. Now we got the antennas on the way there for Manitou. Not a big surprise there. If anything, the big surprise here is it took him so long to get there. Time to catch up with the engineers there. Department here. Jump passing the shots again here from the intersect half tracks. It's really got to feel a bit awkward there for sort of managers just constantly watching all those shots bounce. 132 versus 265 again, feel when they're falling into the hands of the German army. Send a big Halberd Panthers, the Pioneers pulls a mix of German army there being brought in. Sidearm exposed here. Do we see the veterans one ability? I mean, he's got conditions for it, so he really should be activating it. Got the first anti having rushed forwards again. Auto sprint here means it can join in the fight much faster.
No contact.
Almost sound like they had an American vocabulary. It can join the fight fighter. Yeehaw! I'm from Texas. Anyways, Tiger taking their withdrawing.
Points under their control. Act now.
With the second ending almost done there for Manitou. Bunkers being laid down here. Entering up to brothers, but still no veteran over down Manitou. I don't think you should be utilising that one personally. 95 to 265 here. Still, Manitou is pushing forward. He's pushing back the Tiger, if anything. Got the Panzer being bombarded. Oh, got the crew. Honey's also in the danger zone here. Anti-technics they are not moving forward to keep pace. I do feel like that's a bit of a mistake here by Manitou. When they can easily do so again. Look at that. They're just running with that thing as it doesn't weigh a ton. Which I believe this thing literally weighed a ton. Obviously the wheels have to be faster. I still don't think it just easily sprint with it like that.
God damn it. The captain's been killed.
Captain goes down. Sturmpanzer in trouble here. Almost got the Intertingers. Didn't got the armpit. Oh, got the Sturmpanzer. Sting and blow there to Xizi. Of course, go for another one. He can also go for a Panda 4. Panzer moving forwards. 50 cal there. Oh, pointing in the wrong direction. Focusing about an infantry flank here. It is wide open to Panda push here. Xizi's forces charging in. We got support on and slightly for Niederwerfers. The surprise of the Stugs. Captain continues the way here for Manitou. Need his half tracks badly fixed up there. Tiger advancing somewhat, mostly fixed up. More German troops arriving here. German vanguard here, hold up with the fighting position. Anti-tanks ready to perhaps receiving the Tiger. No, they weren't. Fighting nest is gone, kaput.
out of supplies.
Zerstört.
Cut us off. Captain and retinue, ready.
Fresh captain out there. Tiger advancing, support machine gun grenadiers. Pershing's fine, they will from though again he doesn't have the fuel, his fuel control has just been so, well, not good. To like, you know, really just not make that Titan involved. There you go, we do get an eagle up here for Xizi. Titan suffering immense amount of damage, and then taking half tags, couldn't see the loss. Tiger getting out there, crew frankly trying to get out there, and down it goes. Stinging blow here to Manitou. Could be the only given up. Return here, we got incendiary bombs on support weapons. Luftwaffe goes in fast with some good old incendiaries. And he's in trouble here, he's pushing forwards. 65, John 65. Neblev is almost done here for Xizi. He's close to having a triple cap if anything. There you go, Neblev already here. Now these were generally not organically part of any German division. They're typically their own sort of special, like, you know, Neblev Abteilungs, I believe, or batteries. And they then be attached wherever needed. There's also a large variety of Neblevs. I know this version actually did not find incendiary rockets, it just had regular high explosives. That's another fun side note.
Get the wounded out of there. Down to only 50 points.
49 points left here. Support lines on the German sending completely crumbling under American fire. Southeast side, German troops in Panzer sweeping forward to their Sturmgewehre. Nearby barrage on the centre. North here, note the way he's bringing up. He knows this is a 50 goal he's expected, so he's attacking from tail sides here to make it hard for him to suppress the entire attack. Thumbs up here to Xizi, though definitely get the other side also to support the attack here. Otherwise, it's going to be easier, I think, for Manitou's 50 cal to hold both prongs of the attack. But there we go. Fast there, a fire there, flanking the 50 cal. Thumbs up to Xizi.
Enemy movement near a victory point.
Around the centre.
Guard that line and spray whatever moves.
There's the engineers.
Enemy control.
CC feels like he's close to winning, but at the same time now some areas where he's stumbling it feels like at the moment. And Manitou in theory could exploit, but again he feels a bit too hard set in strategy. It's like I think really adapt to what is going on here. Also he's bunching up a lot of stuff here, which definitely makes some great Neblev for targets if he's not careful. Or incendiary bombardment targets. There you go, note the angle here much better, thumbs up.
A victory point is under attack. Must act.
33 points here. Yep, he's popped good book there. Thumbs up to Xizi, very good. About to have a triple cap here. At which point this could very well end up being GG here for Manitou, because even the sense control to get close to easily. There you go, Neblev barrage in there. Southern side, he's going to be close as well there. He's entering the rush. He's just desperate now, frantically trying to get everything onto the point here. 13 points left. 11. 9.
We're down to 10 points. Fall back.
There we go, GG game over. Manitou concedes the defeat. So there you go. Brutal match here. Manitou definitely, I think, had the early mid game to an extent, but even there, I think the problem with Manitou's strategy, as I mentioned sometimes, he was just way too inflexible to responding to what Xizi was doing, whereas Xizi, I think, in many cases, fairly well adapted to what his opponent was doing, and thus was able to actually exploit it and punish his opponent. So, there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match and learned something from it. This is Imperial Links, cheers, and see you all tomorrow for another exciting episode. Bye, everyone.